What's going on, YouTube? I got more story times for you, man. I stayed in America's worst motel. At least that was America's worst motel for me. So without further ado, let's already get into it. Of course, like I said before, this story is 100% real, blah, 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 blah. I never made it up. So I was young. I was just a kid. I could have been 7 years old. I could have been 12 years old. Don't really remember the age, but all I do know is I was a kid at the time. And at the time, we used to go on family vacations, once a summer. And well, this one actually wasn't a vacation. I guess it kind of was. We also used to visit our family upstate in Pennsylvania. Not upstate, out of state in Pennsylvania once a year. So that's where we were going. And we were using my grandmother's car, may she rest in peace, and which is actually the burgundy car on the front of this thumbnail. And it was my father, my godfather, it was my father, my grandmother, me and my sister. So we're in this car, we're driving out on the interstate, and there was a really bad accident that happened. But we didn't know yet because all of a sudden traffic just came to a complete crawl and then just stopped. And it stood like we saw a bunch of police cars rushing over there. They were driving on the end of the road, like on the dirt part. Like they were driving down there to get to the front because there was so much traffic. Nobody could move or get out of the way. I remember how hot it was. So everybody ended up getting out of the cars, just hanging, chilling, walking around, laughing, talking to each other. Now that I think about it, the only thing that could have made that experience so much more better at that time when everybody was just outside of the cars, talking to each other, trying to figure out what was going on, is a bunch of beers because it was so damn hot and, everybody was in shorts and t-shirts, just hanging out. It was like a tailgate party or something, even though I've never been to one. But, yeah, we're on the interstate. We came to a complete stop. I think my dad, he was the one driving at the time. My grandmother was riding shotgun in the passenger seat. I think they were having problems with the car long before that point when we stopped, but they just didn't say anything, because they thought we were still going to be able to make it. But we was there for like an hour and a half. It was so hot, people were starting to get impatient. If you stayed in your car, the sweat is drenching through your shirt, so you have to go out. So me and my sisters, we're out. Everybody, actually, matter of fact, everybody was in the car was out except my grandmother. And you see a bunch of police cars speed by every so often, just to get to the front. An ambulance was one of the first to actually speed by on that little dirt road on the end of the road where that dirt part is at, or whatever, the grass or whatever you want to call it, the shoulder or whatever they call it. So like an hour and a half, everybody starts to drive again, like traffic starts to move. So we're like, oh, okay, we're moving, we're on the move. So everybody gets back in their cars, and our car won't start, So somebody actually, they help us, they start pushing the car, trying to get it to, I guess he thought maybe if he can get it to move, to roll. I don't know, he starts pushing the car. Some guy was pushing the car. And now my grandmother is the one driving. She's trying to start it, but it won't start. So it was this white dude. He's pushing our car to try to get it moving. And they're like, hurry up, come on. They have a pickup truck. And there's some people sitting in the back. It was a two-seater. There's some people sitting in the back. And I guess he lived in Pennsylvania because, in New York, you can't really drive like that. You can't have people openly visible riding around in the back of a pickup truck. You'll get pulled over and get a ticket for that. So they're driving but really slow because they want to give them a chance to hop in the back. They're going to go on. So, he starts pushing the car. We're rolling. As soon as we get like a good little amount of speed, nothing fast or anything like that, but, the car is moving, It's just moving. So our car is moving. So he just runs and jumps in the back of that pickup truck, and then they take off. We're still riding on the side of the road because we're not going that fast. The car is just rolling, Everybody else is starting to, take off and drive. They're moving. They're going past us. So eventually, my grandmother stops the car after like 2 minutes of it moving, and I think she called AAA. So we're just stuck there now. We're on the side of the road watching all these cars pass by us, and we're really disappointed because we just sat still idle for like an hour and a half in the heat because of a traffic jam, So eventually this tow truck driver comes. Now we're in damn near the middle of nowhere on the interstate trying to get to Pennsylvania. I actually think we was already in Pennsylvania. We just wasn't at our destination yet, We still had a couple hours to go. Because if you look on to your left, you'll see a whole bunch of fields with cows on it. And then if you look to your right, you'll see a whole bunch of fields with cows on it. And that's how that was. That's how that environment was for us when we broke down. So the truck driver came. He put me and my sister up front. And we're waiting there while he hooks up the car. I'm trying to remember where my dad and my grandmother was at. I think they were still in that car when he towed it, because there was only enough space up front for like me, my sister. Yeah, it was me, my sister, and him. So we rode up with him, and my dad and my grandmother was still in the car as it was hooked up and everything. There was no space up front for anybody else. And I remember him telling my dad, I could tow you the closest. This is gonna go to you could pick your car up in the morning. I guess he was gonna get it fixed or whatever, but it wasn't gonna be ready till tomorrow. And he said the closest place I can take you to is the motel. And it's cool because my mother actually owns it. That's what he said. So my dad was like, cool, we'll do that. He asked him for the price or whatever. We just did it. So he's towing us to this place, right? Me and my sister is up front with him. He's not talking to us. We're hearing radio chatter back and forth on his radio. And I remember seeing this sign. It's called the Willow Hill Motel. The sign is really old. It's brown. It's brown, and in white letters it says Willow Hill Motel, next exit or whatever. And it was, had cracks all in it and looked like the sign was posted there since the 50s. So it's like it's nighttime now, and like all that waiting around and stuff. Now he told us it became nighttime, so it's nighttime now. By the time we get to the motel, he drops us off, and the motel is, of course, it's one of those 1-story, 1-level motels where in order to get to your room, you're going in through the parking lot. Like your door is right there, and then when you leave your room and you open your door, you're right there in the parking lot, facing the cars parked or whatever. So we go to the motel, we check into with the office and everything like that. Office is looking old, older lady working there. We go to our room. Disgusting. It smelled. Looked like the carpet was dirty. There was flies buzzing around. It looked like the Bates Motel. It looked like something straight out of a horror show or a horror movie. Seriously. It looked like a murder happened there. The walls were like yellowed. Disgusting. Cigarette burns on the floor and on the carpet, and we check it out. We look in the bathroom. It is literally growing mold all over the shower floor, like as if you was to step in there bare feet, you catch something, So my grandmother was like, "Oh, I'm not showering in this tomorrow morning," and my dad laughed, and I love taking showers too, don't get me wrong. That's my happy place. But I was not going to take a shower in that. My dad didn't care. He just laughed it off. Next one, of course, he was the only one that took a shower in that filth. But, to each his own, Basically, that hotel room looked like something straight out of a horror movie. Long story short. The carpet was dirty. It was old. It smelled. There was flies all around. The walls was yellowish. The shower was moldy. Looked like looked like somebody died in that place because how it smelled. It smelled so bad. It wasn't as if nobody cleaned it. It's as if something was legitimately causing it to smell like that, you know. So anyway, while we're there, there's so many damn flies there. We go back up to the office. We ask, you know, my dad asked her, I just happened to tag along with him, you know, can you do you have like a spray or something? We could, you know, what can we do to get these flies out of here? And the lady literally said to us, well, to him, oh no, in every room there's a fly swatter. So he goes back, we open the drawer, there's a fly swatter. My dad starts cracking up my grandmother. It's at the point, you run a motel, that's at the point where you have to keep a fly swatter in a drawer of every room at that place. So we're it's like we're hunting. Like my pops is swinging at it. I grabbed a newspaper. I'm trying to swing at it. We ended up killing the flies, but you know, the fact that that was even there is pretty ridiculous. You know, that's embarrassing. If you run a business like that and that's embarrassing. But I'm not here to judge. But that room was definitely something needs to be done about that room. And if that room looked like that, I can only imagine what the other rooms look like in the rest of that place. But anyway, we're hungry now, you know. So we ask her, you know, what's there to eat. She's like, we got a vending machine at the end of the walkway, and then there's a little restaurant up the street. And then she said, by the time we get back though, the office is gonna be closed. That office actually closes. It's not like 24 hours, you know, where there's somebody in there all day and all night. No, that office closes. So if you need help, you better call 911 because you will definitely not get any assistance whatsoever from that office. Which was weird to me because I never really went to a hotel or a motel that was like that, you know. So that means after a certain time, nobody can even come to check in at night because there's going to be nobody in the office. It's going to be closed. And she made good on her word about that because when that time came, the blinds was closed, the light was off, and the door was locked. And then all you saw in the window was a sign that said office. It was ridiculous. Never forget that place. So we're walking to the restaurant. There is nothing but one street lamp in between that motel and the restaurant. That was like the scariest walk. We're walking in a group. Like, it looked like somebody was going to come out of the shadows because it was so pitch black. There's no cars on that road. And in between was like an abandoned. It was a closed down abandoned. It was another abandoned motel, and I think some little abandoned I think car shop or something like that. I don't really know what it was. Some kind of box like structure. Could have been a car shop, but I know the other thing next to it was abandoned motel, closed down and everything, graffiti, boarded up. You know, no lights. So we're walking. We can't even see our own hands in front of us. You can hear the gravel beneath our feet as we walk towards the street lamp just to pass it to get to the restaurant. We can see the lights from that one restaurant all the way at the end of the road. But while we're walking, we can't see anything in front of us. We're just walking. There's one street lamp in between us and that restaurant. And while we're getting to it, I remember as a kid, I kept going like this, trying to see my hands because I couldn't believe how pitch black it was. We're talking to each other and we're walking close, but we can't see anything. We're just seeing ahead. The only thing that we're seeing is the front of us. I kept looking back. I remember that. I kept looking back behind us to make sure nobody was trying to, you know, get the jump on us or something, because if somebody with stuff came out of nowhere, then God no one did or whatnot, because that place looked creepy as hell. We wouldn't have been able to see them coming, you know. So we finally passed the street lamp. We're looking at each other's faces like we like it's our first time being able to see. Like, and then as soon as we pass that street lamp, oh, you know, it all of a sudden just fades back into dark, you know. So we finally get to that restaurant. Food wasn't that good, really. We got the food to go. We end up taking it back to the motel. Sorry about the scratching. It's just my cat. We end up taking the food back to the motel. And again, it's pitch black. Can't see anything until we pass that street lamp. And we pass the street lamp. Again, it fades back to dark. And we get back to the motel. that food really wasn't that good at all. Like that restaurant, I don't remember the name of it, but should not be in business anymore. I don't know if it still is, but if it is, hopefully they improved. If not, they don't deserve to be in business like at all. It wasn't really that many people in that restaurant anyway. It was only like 2, maybe 3 people. Like, 2, maybe 3 customers in that restaurant. And then you got the staff, you got the staff. So there's 2 beds in that room. We made do. Ate the food. Don't remember if the TV even worked. But the next morning, that tow truck driver, come on, get out the way, get out the way, get out the way. The next morning, that tow truck driver came back. I think he took my dad to go pick up he took my dad to go pick up the car. And the car was fixed, He drove it back to the motel. We ended up getting in, driving the rest of the way to see my family in Pennsylvania. And we all agree that that was our worst hotel, motel experience. Whatever you want to call it, that was our worst. And honestly, to this day, I've never had I've never had a much worse experience with a motel than that one. Like, that had to take the cake. Oh man, I never forget that. Even not too long ago, I was going to Pennsylvania for a different reason, and I passed by that same sign, and that automatically threw me back. I caught flashbacks, like I was in the war, And I'm like, wow, that place really needs to be renovated. It needs to, be under new management or something, because that place was filthy. It was horrific. And even the walk to that one single restaurant, the only thing lit up in that area besides that one street lamp between that motel and that restaurant, I don't know. I'm pretty sure there's other horrible places out there to stay at for the night, but I've never stayed at a place much worse than that. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. And as always, please, 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 please be safe.